Hi, Tony here and welcome to the channel. Now in the video I put out about the rebrand, a few people commented about content that they wanted to see coming through, and a few people suggested going back over some of the old items that I've reviewed previously to show you kind of how they've held up over time. So I thought, well, why not go back through all of my helmet reviews, because I really enjoyed doing those helmet reviews, and pick my favorites based on the style of the helmet. So I have broken them down into various styles: open face, retro, street, adventure, flip front and touring. Now of course there is some crossover and you could wear any of those helmets for any of the other functions really, but I had to find some kind of way of categorizing them, and that's just what I went with. So what I've done is pick the top three for each category, which was actually much harder than I initially thought it was going to be. I've also broken the video down into chapters by each segment, so if you just want to skip to the particular style that you're interested in, you can do that by clicking on the timeline at the bottom of the video. And there's one extra thing to add, that every single helmet that I review and everything in this review is CE rated. I won't review a helmet that's not CE rated. They're not legal for road use in the UK, so I won't touch any of those. So let's kick off with open face, and straight away I'm going to break the rules, because the first helmet that I've got in third place is a helmet that I've not actually yet brought you a review of, and that's the Garibaldi Go 2 X helmet. It's a multi-composite fibre helmet that is offered in 4 shell sizes across 6 fittings, from extra small to extra large. It's a very clean looking helmet with very little branding, and it's got a lovely eco leather and fibre lining on the inside. It comes with a peak in the box too, which is a really nice touch, and it's just a standard 3 popper fitting, so you can put pretty much any peak on this, but with that peak in place I think it's a nice looking helmet. Some people that I've showed this to have actually mistaken this for a head and helmet when I first take it out of the box, because the finish is actually that good. It has a micrometric ratchet strap, and I know some people don't like those, but it seems to be pretty secure. And there's also space in here for speaker pockets. There's actually indentations in the EPS lining for you able to put headphones in there should you want to fit a comms unit to it. What's amazing about this helmet is the price. This retails all in for £99. So if you're looking for a slick looking open face helmet, maybe even if you only want one for occasional rides, so things like the DGR or just those odd days that you want to nip out with this, then spending £99 on this seems like a good idea. It really is very nicely finished. It's CE rated, as I said. It's got some nice features to it. The speaker pocket holes, there's a goggle strap on the back, and that's really the only piece of branding is on there, and a little logo that says fiberglass on the side. Outside of that, I think this is a cracking lid for the money, and it certainly deserves its third place on this list. Second place on this list goes to a brand I've just mentioned, which is Hedon and their Headness helmet. The luxury UK brand do make lovely helmets, and they are beautifully finished, lightweight and very low profile. It was a tough call between this and the eventual winner. The only thing marking down the head and a little bit was the leather trim, which isn't so great if you get caught in the rain. But needless to say, this is a lovely helmet. Not cheap, but it is lovely. And the winner is the Shoei JO. A really nicely put together classic open face lid, constructed from Shoei's AIM material. It's strong and relatively light. The interior is plush and very nicely finished, and the double D-ring fastening is a reassuring addition. But it's the pull-down visor which helped tip the scales in its favour. When not in use, it's hardly noticeable, but it proved to be very useful for stretches of fast road riding or if the weather turned dodgy. It's a perfect blend between classic and modern. It seems prudent now to move on to retro helmets, and I do have to say that generally I've been a little bit disappointed with the retro helmets that I've reviewed. It does seem that some manufacturers think that because it's a retro style, it can also have retro performance, and some of them just seem to be very much lacking in certain criteria that you'd want from a helmet. One brand covers 2 of the helmets in this range though, and their first one comes in at number 3, which is the Shoei Glampster. It's a nicely crafted helmet offering good looks with functionality. In this comparison, it's the ventilation, visor and noise that hold it back a little bit. It's a helmet that gets very hot in warm weather, and the vent on the brow just doesn't seem to be up to the job. The visor action is also a little bit disappointing, as its only real choices are open and closed, and the lock tab can prove to be a little bit tricky. But all in all, it's a nice looking and very well constructed helmet. The Arai Rapide jumps into second place. It's a well crafted lid again, with great vision, comfort and ventilation, as well as Arai's famous safety considerations. But its looks means that it might not be as retro as some people would want, as it has more of an 80s vibe about it. It is better suited to some bikes than others if overall aesthetics are important to you, but as an all-round helmet, it is very, very good. Number 1 slot in the retro category goes to the Shoei X-Zero. Now, it may be a very simple retro motocross style helmet, but it does exactly what it needs to do, and it does it very well. It's got the pure retro looks, but it is backed up with modern tech, comfort and protection. Plus, like the JO, that pull down visor adds another dimension to the helmet. Pop the peak off and it doesn't look out of place on a Harley Cruiser or a Brat style bike. With the visor in place and maybe some goggles, it's a perfect lid for the scrambler and street scrambler riders. I think this is a classic in terms of retro helmets, and I think it's one that's going to stay in the Shoei lineup for quite a long time. It's really comfortable, it's really well made, it's got some lovely features, and it does look absolutely ace on the bike. Street next, and I've looked at this category as something that's traditionally worn on a naked or sports bike. More often than not, it hasn't got things like a drop down visor or any other additional equipment. This was a really difficult category to sort, and in third place I went for the Shoei RYD. It's a simple, no nonsense helmet that's comfortable, quiet and well balanced. I bought mine around 5 years ago and it's still going strong as my camera helmet for reviews. Adding the Transitions visor transformed it, and it was a very worthwhile purchase. Not cheap, but it gave the helmet lots of flexibility. It's been an excellent helmet in all weathers and on all sorts of bikes, but the stock is becoming harder to find now, and I suspect that's because the helmet is likely to be discontinued in 2022, and it's just the existing stocks that are now selling through. Second place is picked up by the Arai Profile V. It's a great all-round helmet, it's comfortable, quiet and plush, and it's easy to change the interior parts to get a perfect fit. Ventilation is particularly good, and switching the visor is an incredibly quick job. It's reasonably priced too, and it's a really good street helmet. It just pips the RYD here because of its better ventilation. It's over to Italy now for the top spot with the AGV K6. This helmet really surprised me, and the thing you notice first about the K6 is it's very lightweight. It really does make a difference when you're wearing it on all-day rides. The vision is exceptional with a very wide and tall aperture, ventilation is good, and the reversible lining makes it really comfortable both in warm and cold weather. I initially wore it on a bike with a screen and it actually wasn't as quiet as I was expecting, but on a naked bike it was a different story. But it is a very good helmet, it certainly surprised me. It's a very plush unit, and that lightweight makes it a very comfortable helmet indeed, and the vision is also very good from that visor. Definitely one to check out. The adventure helmet market is big and constantly growing, with so many good helmets to choose from. My third place pick is the Nex X-Wed 2, which just nipped in front of the AGV AX9. The X-Wed 2 has some great features, including a drop-down visor. In fact, it's the only one of the 3 helmets in my top 3 that does. Vision, comfort and ventilation are all good, and the ability to switch out parts and have mounts for action cameras is really useful, as is the Bluetooth comms integration. Bits of it can feel a little bit plasticky, but overall it's a very accomplished helmet. The next spot was a real battle between the top 2, and I went backwards and forwards quite a bit on this one if I'm being honest. Eventually it was the Shoei Hornet which took second place. It's a helmet that's been around for a while and is quite rightly amongst the top sellers in the adventure market. It's comfy, it's relatively quiet and very well constructed. The vented peak is one of the very best in this sector, and vision is excellent too. It can be a little bit snug to pull on as the opening is quite narrow, but once in place it's a great helmet to wear all day long. It is a helmet that's more suited maybe to the road or simple trail riding, as the ventilation, although decent, might not be enough if you're working harder. All in all, a very solid top of the range adventure helmet. The winner in this category is the Arai Tour X4, or the XD as it's known in the US. Again, an incredibly popular adventure lid offering Arai's R75 shape for better glancing off. It's comfortable, quiet and offers great vision. It's not the lightest helmet to be honest, but it's well balanced so it feels lighter than it actually is when riding. The real benefit of this helmet is the ventilation. There's tons of it and it's all very controllable. This makes for a great all year round partner both on and off road. There's a reason why it's continually been one of the best selling adventure helmets. If you've got the money to spend, then you can't go wrong with this helmet. It was very close between this and the Shoei. I think it's the ventilation that just tipped it for this helmet for me. But either of those are going to be a great purchase. Just buy the one that fits you the best. Modular or flip front helmets next, and it's the AGV Sport Modular that comes in at third place. It's a lovely looking helmet. In fact, it's one of the best flip front helmets in terms of looks, I think. It's pretty luxurious and it is incredibly light for a modular helmet, but to be honest I didn't find it to be the quietest one that I'd tried. A splendid helmet regardless. Second spot goes to the Shoei Neotech 2. Typical high quality as you'd expect, plush, comfortable and quiet. Ventilation is pretty good, but I did find it to be a little bit claustrophobic compared to its competition. It does, however, certainly deserve its reputation as one of the top modular helmets. The winner of this category is another Italian brand, with the X-Lite X1005 Ultra Carbon taking the top spot. Nolan, who manufacture this helmet, have a very good reputation and their helmets always score highly in sharp tests. This helmet being carbon means it's nice and light, not quite as light as the AGV, but still very good. It's a very comfortable helmet with a really plush lining and a nice close-fitting neck roll. The visor is huge and offers the kind of all-round vision to match any of the adventure helmets. Ventilation is simple and effective, and I found it to be a quiet place too, particularly on the Africa Twin with the short screen, which was the downfall of quite a few other helmets. If you've not considered X-Lite as a helmet choice, then I seriously consider taking a look at their range. And the final category now, which is touring. Now, in reality, most helmets are going to be up for the job for touring. So I've picked the helmets that are specifically marketed at that particular segment. There wasn't many on my shortlist, to be honest, so I've put the Nolan N87 in at third place. It fulfills all of the requirements for touring and it includes a drop-down sun visor. The reason I popped the N87 in the shortlist is its incredible value. It's well built, it's comfortable, quiet and offers decent ventilation. So with its price coming in at under £200 for a plain colour, it's a fantastic choice for those riders on a budget, and also for those riders that just don't want to spend a lot of money but still get a really good helmet. In second place is the Shoei GT Air 2. This has again proved to be a very strong performing helmet for touring. The usual Shoei build quality, excellent ventilation and clear drop-down sun visor are all there, and the ability to fit an integral Bluetooth comms unit elevate it further. On some bikes with screens I found it to be a little noisy, but not to the extent that it became a problem. It's a great helmet, which is why it's proved to be a continued sales success. The winner in this final category is the Arai Quantic. It is touted by the Japanese company as a long-distance touring helmet, and so far they seem to be on the money. It's the only helmet in this list that meets the new ECE 2206 certification standard, but aside from that it's proved to be very comfortable, offers great all-round vision, and as usual with Arai, it's got very good ventilation. The Quantic is very stable at speed and feels very balanced on the head. One drawback may be that it doesn't have a drop-down sun visor, but I've been using the excellent ProShade system and that does the same job. You do have to spend a bit more money on this helmet, but I definitely think it's worth it. I'd like to add that these are all my opinions based on the tests and the reviews that I've done. Helmets, of course, all fit slightly differently, so I've tried to take that out of the equation and base my views on the performance of the helmet as a whole. Now, I know I'm going to get loads of suggestions of helmets in the comment section, but obviously I can only base my opinions on those helmets that I've been able to test and ride on a bike. There are noticeably some brands missing from my reviews where I just can't get hold of sample helmets to test. Names like HJC, Shark, Schubert, Bell and others are all missing from my list, and that's something that I'm going to try to rectify. I was hoping to have reviewed the Shoei NXR2 as well by now, but that helmet hasn't materialized either. I'll put links to all of these helmets in the description, and there is a link up on the screen here which will take you away to my helmet review playlist, where you can find all of the full reviews for each of the helmets mentioned, with the exception of the Garibaldi, but that should be coming up relatively soon. I hope you've enjoyed the video and it's given you some food for thought. If so, hitting the like button is appreciated. What's more appreciated is, if you haven't done it so far, is to subscribe and hit the notification bell, and I will be forever grateful. So all that leaves me to say is until next time. Thanks for watching, take care, ride safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.